Okay, so today we're diving into the world of real estate.
Yeah, right.
And, it always sounds so glamorous, right?
Yeah.
Helping people find their dream homes, setting your own hours, maybe robbing a killer blazer at an open house. But before we get lost in those HGTV fantasies, we're taking a deep dive into what it really takes to be a real estate agent.
Yeah, I think those reality shows, they only give you a tiny glimpse, right?
Right.
It's a field that can be demanding, sure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the rewards can be huge. And what I find really interesting right now is that technology and evolving consumer expectations, it's like the whole industry is kind of in a state of flux, you know?
It's true. It's true. And that's exactly why we're unpacking RoleCatcher today. They've got a ton of information on what it takes to become a real estate agent, from understanding those everyday tasks to navigating what can be a super competitive job market. We're not shying away from the challenges either, right? No. The long hours, the pressure of a commission-based income, and of course, let's face it, dealing with people, which can sometimes be the trickiest part.
Oh, for sure. I think it's refreshing, actually, that there's not sugarcoating it. They lay it all out there. The
Mm-hmm.
good, the bad, the essential skills you need to really make it in that world.
It's about keeping it real, right?
Yeah.
So let's break down what the role actually involves. RoleCatcher, they've got this whole breakdown of the core tasks of a real estate agent, and it's honestly way more diverse than I initially thought.
Yeah, it's more than just showing properties. It's about
Yeah.
guiding people through like one of the biggest decisions of their lives, and RoleCatcher really emphasizes that.
It's huge.
They talk about administering sales and lettings, which includes everything from the marketing of a property to all the paperwork that needs to get done. Then there's that whole research side, right?
Right.
Investigating a property, figuring out its condition, crunching the numbers to determine the market value, and of course, we can't forget the legal stuff, negotiating contracts, really getting a grasp on property law, making sure everything's above board.
There's that legal side again. RoleCatcher seems to really stress understanding all those legal details of property transactions. It seems like a pretty solid grasp of property law is like absolutely essential if you're even thinking about becoming an agent.
Oh, absolutely. Even for something like, what seems kind of straightforward, like figuring out how much a place is worth. Like they give this example. Say you're selling a flat, right?
Right, yeah.
And there's this big renovation project that was just announced nearby. Well, that's going to impact the property value, probably significantly.
Oh, yeah.
And as an agent, you need to be on top of that.
Yeah.
Know how to factor it in legally and ethically.
Right.
You're there to protect your client's interests,
Mm-hmm.
make sure everything is done right.
You're not just a salesperson, you're a trusted advisor.
Exactly.
And speaking of changing times, RoleCatcher brings up how technology is totally transforming the real estate world.
Yeah.
They mention virtual tours, online listings platforms, even using data analytics to really understand market trends.
Oh, wow.
It's a far cry from those old newspaper listings, huh?
Totally different world.
Right.
And that's really where all those tech skills become so important, right?
Right.
RoleCatcher really stresses how agents need to, like, really leverage these tools.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, think about it. You can offer a potential buyer a really seamless virtual tour experience, or use data to figure out exactly what kind of property they're looking for.
It's like you're giving yourself a superpower almost.
Right.
And RoleCatcher has, I found it really interesting, this take on what actually makes a good real estate agent these days. It's not all about knowing, like, I don't know, your square footage from your acreage.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting to me. They put so much emphasis on, like, people skills,
Interesting.
even more than, like, your actual knowledge of the housing market, which I get. Because in a way, everyone's online now, right? So when you're dealing with clients, they're looking for that human connection, that someone who gets what they need, beyond just how many bedrooms or the price per square foot.
It's more about the feeling.
Right, exactly. And they use this example of like a young couple trying to buy their first home. They're nervous, right? Don't know what they're doing.
Of course.
A tech-savvy agent might impress them at first with all the fancy virtual tours and everything, but it's the agent who sits down with them, really listens to them, understands what they're worried about, what they're dreaming of.
That's the one who's going to get the deal.
That's the one who earns their trust. And that's where those top skills they talk about come in. Persuasion, active listening, and critical thinking.
Yeah.
It's more than just showing houses. You're guiding people through a process that's really complex for most people.
Absolutely. You're managing expectation. You might even need to help them see the potential in a property, right?
Yes.
Something that maybe they just hadn't considered.
Absolutely.
So you're a little bit of a therapist, you're a negotiator, you're a market expert.
It's a lot, right?
It's a lot.
It's a lot to bit.
And then on top of the people skills, RoleCatcher talks about like the core knowledge that you need, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about property law, but then there's finance, marketing, and then of course, that art of negotiation.
Oh, yeah. And I really like how they don't just tell you what you need to know. They actually point you toward resources.
Oh, that's good.
So if you're thinking, hey, maybe real estate is my thing,
Yeah.
you can get a head start.
Yeah.
Start learning.
You don't have to wait.
No.
I love that. I love that kind of proactive approach. And I don't know about you, but I am definitely someone who likes to visualize, what's the path.
Yeah.
So RoleCatcher does a good job of sort of mapping out the different stages, right, of an agent's career. So they've got everything from like entry level all the way up to like principal agent. And each one has its own unique skills and responsibilities.
Absolutely. I think that's so important, especially when you're just starting out.
Yeah.
Because it feels really overwhelming. Otherwise, like what RoleCatcher says, entry level, you're mostly going to be supporting more senior agents.
Yeah.
Maybe doing property research, going to inspections, or handling those administrative tasks.
Those stuff nobody wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. And then as you get more experience, you move into more of a junior agent role. You start to build your own little client base.
Yeah.
Maybe focusing on rentals at first. And then you transition into a senior agent, dealing with those big transactions, leading negotiations, maybe even managing a small team.
Okay, so you're taking on more responsibility, building your expertise. And then there's that principal agent level, which sounds kind of like the real estate equivalent of a CEO almost.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
At that level, you have such a deep understanding of the market. You're a skilled negotiator. You're probably leading a whole team of agents, mentoring them, maybe even shaping the entire strategy of your brokerage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a position with a lot of influence.
From showing like studio apartments to, million-dollar deals, that's quite a journey. And it made me think of how the industry's changing. You could even specialize in like a certain type of real estate, right?
Oh, for sure.
I know RoleCatcher mentioned like, eco-friendly homes, luxury properties. You could even get into commercial real estate, I bet.
Absolutely. And it's a really good way to stand out, especially now when it's so competitive. Become the expert in a particular area.
The go-to.
Exactly. So let's say you're passionate about sustainable living.
Yeah.
You could focus on helping clients find eco-friendly homes.
Yeah.
Understanding all those energy-efficient features.
Yeah.
Or even navigating all of the green mortgages.
Oh, interesting.
That's a thing now, right?
Yeah.
You're not just selling a house. You're selling a lifestyle.
I love that. That kind of specialization, I feel like, especially now as people are becoming more and more aware of, their choices, it's a good way to like kind of really stand out.
Yeah. Align your passion with your profession.
Yeah.
So let's say this has got you all fired up about a career in real estate, right?
Okay, yeah.
You've been working on your negotiation skills. You've upped your social media game. You practically dream in property law now.
Okay.
What's next?
Right.
How do you actually find that dream job?
How do you make it happen?
This is where RoleCatcher really shines.
They don't just give you the information. They actually like really help you like get into the weeds of how to land that job.
Exactly.
And their job section, I think, is seriously a game changer.
It's so good. Okay, so picture this. You're on your lunch break, right?
Yeah.
Scrolling through job postings.
And there.
LinkedIn, Indeed, all the company websites.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
It's so much.
RoleCatcher has this amazing feature. It's called RoleCatcher.capture. It's a plugin. You put it in your browser.
Okay.
And you can save job postings from any website
Oh, wow.
directly to your RoleCatcher profile.
That's great. No more like million tabs open or like trying to remember like where did I see that listing?
Exactly. No more endless spreadsheets.
Which I am so guilty of.
Oh, I used to do that too.
Yeah.
And it gets even better. They have this skills analysis feature. It actually looks at job descriptions for you.
Oh, wow.
It figures out exactly what the employer wants, like what keywords, what skills.
It's like having like a little recruiter in your back pocket
Exactly.
telling you, hey, this is what you need to highlight. No more like agonizing over your resume.
It takes the guesswork out.
Yes.
And, speaking of resumes, we have to talk about their AI resume builder.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's always like my least favorite part of any job search, honestly.
Yeah.
Just crafting the perfect CV, making sure it's got all the right stuff in there.
It's a nightmare. Tweaking, editing, and then you send it off and it's like, did anyone even read this?
Exactly, exactly. So how does RoleCatcher make a difference?
So their AI, it doesn't just spit out a template, it takes all your info,
Hmm.
but then it also looks at the job description,
Oh, smart.
figures out, okay, for this specific job, what are the keywords, the skills, and then it tailors your CV.
So you're not sending out like a generic one to a million places,
No more generic resumes.
which I am so guilty of.
It's a game changer. And then, of course, there's the interview.
The interview. The part I dread the most. Always.
Well, they've got you covered.
Okay.
They have this huge database of practice interview questions, over 120,000,
Wow, okay.
all categorized by career, by skill set. They even have like those curveball questions that they love to throw at you.
Oh, to see how you think on your feet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was my first job interview ever, and I just completely blanked on this question.
It happens.
It was awful, but RoleCatcher, it sounds like they could have saved me a lot of pain.
Honestly, it's so helpful for building your confidence.
Yeah.
You walk into that interview, you're prepared, you've got this,
Yeah.
you can handle anything.
It sounds like they really have thought of everything, honestly, to help someone, be successful in real estate. So we went from like understanding the ins and outs of being an agent to, all those skills you need in this crazy market to actually like getting the job.
It's a whole package.
And RoleCatcher really seems to guide you through it all.
If you're even a little bit curious about real estate, check out RoleCatcher. The information, the tools, it's all really valuable. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're just starting out or maybe you're thinking about a career change.
It sounds like they're there for you every step of the way.
From that first, like, maybe I could do this, to getting your license and closing deals.
Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one handing over keys to all those happy homeowners soon. All right, that's it for today's deep dive into the world of real estate. See you next time.